who's listening to Sports Circus right now, Bucky is insane. We're going to be switching over to the next hour. Catch us on the sportscircus.com. You can pick up our feed right there. We'll be back after a few short commercial messages and get Bucky sane once again.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Hey Ryan, do we have any beer in the fridge?
Nah, I thought you got some.
The game starts in 5 minutes.
And you drank the last beer at midnight on Friday.
I wish there was a place that delivered beer.
Yes, I'm Captain Crafted. I'm here to bring you beer. That's Captain, C-R-A-F-T''D. Why? Because there's no E, just a D, as in deliver, because Captain Crafted delivers.
That's right, the Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business with great prices and deliveries of your favorite beer, wine, spirits, water, ice, and mixers. Did I mention their great prices? That's CRAFTDBEER store.com or Fred Crafted Beer Store on Facebook.com. Make it easy. Google Redlands Beer Delivery. Look for Crafted Beer.
Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business, and I'm here to deliver.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that would clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
Classy K9 Salon Dog Wash wants to remind pet owners of the importance of spaying and neutering. Shelters overflow with unwanted pets. Spaying and neutering helps to prevent this and has many health benefits too. That message courtesy of Classy K9 Salon Dog Wash at 1152 East 6th Street in Beaumont. For all breed dog and cat grooming with years of experience, call 951-769-8300. For Classy K9 Salon Dog Wash, they're wishing everyone happy holidays.
Look around your office. Is it time to change things up? Start a new home office or reorganize your professional office space? Visit Office Furniture Outlet in Corona and you'll feel great. With a huge inventory of both new and pre-owned office furniture, you can buy, sell, or even trade to get the job done. Office Furniture Outlet in Corona will get you looking and feeling good, and that simply means success and great business results. From executive office collections to home office options, you can find exactly what you need at an affordable price. Office Furniture Outlet. They have desk selections that range from modern and contemporary to traditional and elegant. With a large selection of sizes, finishes, and styles, you can design an office just the way you need it. An office you can be proud of. The Office Furniture Outlet in Corona is just south of the 91 freeway in McKinley at 284 DuPont Street, or visit OFOUSA.com. That's OFOUSA.com for the Office Furniture Outlet in Corona today.
Do you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS? Can't afford to pay? You're not alone. The slow economy has backed many Americans into a financial corner. Here's fantastic news. The Internal Revenue Service is now accepting reduced settlements from taxpayers in trouble. A government program is in place to relieve overburdened taxpayers. It's called the Fresh Start Initiative, and if you qualify, you can end all collections, settle your tax issue, and possibly reduce the amount you owe by thousands of dollars. A new taxpayer emergency helpline has been set up by Tax Mediation Services. Call the helpline now at 877-207-2077. See if you qualify to have all collections ended and to have have your tax problems resolved for thousands less. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes to the IRS that you cannot afford to pay, call now to see if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative. 877-207-2077. 877-207-2077. 877-207-2077.
KCAA.
Welcome to the 90 Degree Show, the sports center for college marching bands where we recap the ultimate battles from this weekend. And now, here's our host, the Phantom Podcaster himself, Joe Beard.
All right, welcome. Hello and good evening to the Marching Podcast and the 90 Degree Show. We are happy to have your presence. I'm glad you are listening. I'm your host, Joe Beard. Happy to be of service for you. We appreciate all those listening through iTunes, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, our website, our blog, or watching us on KCAA Radio's website or Tiki, or wherever you are on the interwebs. If you're driving in your car out here in Southern California, you're listening to 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM. Thanks for listening. At the end of the broadcast, if you decide you like the show, then we appreciate a donation to the network, if you feel so in your heart, of course. Just simply go to themarchingpodcast.com and click on the donate button to help improve the show and help build our scholarship fund. You can also go to themarchingpodcast.com to see this very video of this very show after the broadcast. To catch up on our podcast, you can click on the Listen and Follow tab and click on go to our podcast and click on the Listen and Follow tab and click on the channel you prefer to listen to our show. Also want to put it out there that we are now on Stitcher. Got a lot of fans of Stitcher out there listening to podcasts. Well, the Marching Podcast is now there too. So if you are on Stitcher, go ahead and search for the Marching Podcast and you will find us there. All right. Tonight's show is brought to you by Block Band Music and Publishing, SAY Marketing and Promotions, blockusup.com, and Kevin Pete of Remax Patriots Realty. We hope you enjoy the show. Again, want to give a shout out to all the people that donated to our cause, helping the Marching Podcast get to this platform. We welcome you to the 90 Degree Show. First, let's say hello to our outstanding panel of experts. First, we want to say hello and welcome and glad that you are here to the great, the one and only owner and founder of the fifthquarterforum.com. And also, one of the greatest shirts, I saw her post. She said, Bay. The best Aggie ever. That would be Miss Christy Walker. How are you doing this evening, Christy?
I'm doing great. Aggie pride in the spirit of the Celebration Bowl. Got to give a good old Aggie pride, but I'm doing great. Thanks.
That's outstanding. You know, the Aggies will be participating in the upcoming Celebration Bowl, pitting the MEAC champions against the SWAC champions. So all you Aggies out there, hello. And last but not least, the owner and founder of Block Band Music and Publishing, the illustrious, representing the Great Hampton University, the Force, Mr. Rashad Waters. How you doing in this podcast, sir?
What's going on, man? What's going on? You know, normally I would have some Marching Podcast stuff or some Block Band stuff on, but today I'm going to rep Star Wars a little bit here.
Wow.
Darth Vader. You know, the new Star Wars movie is coming out this weekend, so I'm excited to see that. So just want to put a little shout out there for Darth Vader, not for Kylo Ren, for Darth Vader.
That's what's up. I appreciate that because you guys schooled me on all of those sci-fi movies. I have not seen any of the Star Wars.
What?
Okay, the show's over.
Yeah, I know. I have not seen any of them. I have not seen any of the Harry Potter joints either, and I know that's Christy's thing. Yes, yes, I'm square.
I want to. In fact, I have my ticket for Thursday evening. I'm going Thursday evening at 7:00. So yes, I'm ready.
That's outstanding.
Ready.
I actually saw that Luke Skywalker. We were actually in at work today, we were in like a meeting. Now it's supposed to be a meeting. We talking about work, and like the last 15 minutes, they were like, "Oh my God, what are you guys gonna do Friday?" And I was like, "What's going on Friday?" They were like, "Dude, you don't know Star Wars is going." And one of the ladies, she's like KT. Shout out to KT. Bless her heart. She was telling me that Luke Skywalker's daughter is going to be in the upcoming movie or something like that.
We don't know that that's his daughter. We don't know who she is.
Oh,
she was in the last movie, but they don't know who she is exactly.
Oh, okay. She was trying to hype me up about it. Yeah, so we excited about that. So again, thank you for listening. The phone lines are open at 888-909-1050. You can give us a call and talk. We'll have an interesting conversation tonight. We did not have any intriguing battles over the weekend, but we do want to talk about probably a little bit more of a continuation from what we left off with last week. But it kind of, like the fires out here in California, the wind caught the fire a little bit and it spread. Mm-hmm. And so there was some interesting talk about that. We'll talk about that tonight. And if we have time, we'll scoot it in there, talk about what jumped out to us this year in 2017. A lot of interesting stuff happened, and it will be cool to get what you guys remember from the year. Shout out to Bridget. Shout out to Bridget Bell. She is sick. She's feeling a little under the weather. So shout out to you, Bridget, if you're at home listening, waving at you there out there, and be more. And the check's on the way, Bridget. Check's on the way. I'll just letting you know. All right, y'all. So lastly, before the break, always bring attention to our T-shirts, and probably next week we'll have representing. Well, I can't tell y'all. I'm already excited. I can't tell y'all, but this week representing the @Marching Podcast Twitter. Our Twitter is on fire, y'all. For all the folks that are on Twitter, the Marching Podcast, @Marching Podcast, is like the bomb to follow. Archive episodes, always good retweets, lots of love, and a lot of band videos. So if that's another point of access for you guys want to listen to, I always like the good band videos, or pretty much anything band related on YouTube. I like it, and it'll pop up there, and you guys can check it out. All right, so we'll go ahead and get into the show. Let's take our first break so we can come back, because I really want to hear what you guys think about how the fire spread from what we left off with last week. All right, so you can email the show at marchingpodcast@gmail.com, tweet us @marchingpodcast, like on my shirt, and follow our blog 4.themarchingpodcast.com. And hello to my family. Almost forgot. Hello to my hello, Kenny and Alonso.
How we doing shout outs? That's what we doing?
Yeah, just a quick shout out. Hello, family. Hello, kids. And hello to my wife, Adriana, or Adriana, as we say here in the States. You know, it's a little proper pronunciation for that. Adriana. You know what I'm saying? Chris, who you shouting out before we go to the first break?
I'm shouting out everybody. What's up, y'all? Hey, band kids.
Okay. Rashad, who you shouting out, man?
Shouting out everybody as well. And family, of course.
Yeah, so let me tell the listeners real quick. Rashad was shouting out his wife last week, and wherever we are, my son, who's 5 years old, thought that was like the funniest thing in the world when you said that. He thought, I don't even know if he know what a wife is, but he thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Your son laughing at me now, huh?
No. I was like, no, that's Uncle Rashad. That's Uncle Rashad, man. That's Uncle Rashad. All right, y'all. So we'll take a break, and we'll be back to talk about the business and then what we remember from 2017. Thanks for listening.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
Good afternoon. This is Dr. David A. Paget, the Director of the Geographic Information Sciences Lab at Tennessee State University, and you're listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone. This is Joe Beard from the Marching Podcast. Is your school, club, or organization looking for high-quality decorated apparel to outfit your students, staff, club, or team? Tired of the same old boring white T-shirt? Are you in charge of the upcoming fundraiser or special event, but don't really have time to troll the internet for ideas or compare products? SAY can help with design and product selection. We can even assist with ideas on conducting an effective fundraising program. SAY can help you save time and get your message heard. So call 1-800-975-3156. SAY Marketing and Promotions.
Give your brand a voice.
The Marching Podcast Network is a network of podcasts with a purpose to inspire, educate, and show positive images in our community. Our network produces podcasts about college marching bands, business, health, finances, college preparation, spirituality, instrumentation development, along with one-on-one interviews with strong role models in our community. Looking for a podcast network that educates and inspires to make our world a better place? Then listen to us. Check out our website at themarchingpodcast.com. Tweet us at Marching Podcast or follow our blog at blog4.themarchingpodcast.com. The Marching Podcast, changing the world through positive interaction.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
All right, guys. Thank you again for listening and welcome back to the show. First, let me go ahead and start out the conversation. And I have the timer here, so I'll try to remember. Let me get it up here. I got the timer, y'all. Okay, I got the timer here. I want to ask you guys, and Rashad, I want to start with you because Christy kind of started it a little bit last week. But I guess Quincy Hilliard, I believe. So we talked about him last week. He had an interview, and he basically said that certain kids don't play that well. When you're talking about the majority of high schools and middle schools of the African-American nature. And basically he was like, they should come to my school. Well, they can't come to my school, and blah, 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 blah. I'm paraphrasing now. But basically, it opened up the conversation to all the listeners who aren't band heads or listening about certain things that are not properly done or things that are not done correctly. We hear this a lot being HBCU graduates. You know, so that again sparked the conversation. And it's not a new conversation. If anyone has actually seen the movie Drumline, this is actually what the plot of the movie was about. And I don't want to tell what was going on. But of course, Devin Miles was, what's the brother's real name? I keep thinking it was his Devin Miles. No, that's right. Nick Cannon's hilarious. Nick Cannon's hilarious. So yes, the brother Nick Cannon was doing his thing at this school, but basically they kind of shed light on this very subject in that movie. So you guys check it out. Later on, we kind of thought it was dead. It let go, and a new person who I believe wanted to start their own podcast, kind of similar to what we doing here, came out and later added more gas on the fire, if you will. We talked about is it Nathan Hammond? Is that is his first name? Yes. Okay, so Nathan Hammond had a response to Hilliard. All right, this person, and it's Band Talk 44444, I believe. Well, that's the Twitter, but I think it's Band Talk. Posted a video on YouTube, and basically was motivated to say something based on the comments that Nathan Hamer said and his response to Hilliard. Okay, he did this anonymously, and the video, you can't see who it is, and you can only hear a voice, and he did not want to give his credentials, i.e. where he went to school, his degree, or all of that stuff like that. All right. So I will let you guys say something. I actually talked to him yesterday because Christy was like, "Oh, I can't wait to say something about this."
Yep, you're right.
She said she put a post, and I woke up Sunday morning and I saw the post, and I immediately read what she was talking about, and I was like, "Whoa," you know what I'm saying? A lot of people responded. A lot of people had something to say. And I actually talked to this person yesterday. It's a male. It's a guy. And I reached out to him to be on the show tonight. I said, man, call into the show. We love to talk to you. And I was nice. I was not like, man, you better be. You know what I'm saying? I was cool. And he at first said yes. But the brothers and brothers and sisters laid into him pretty good on YouTube. And he later took the video down. Well, he first made a part 2 because he wanted to clear up and kind of, say, hey, I'm a fan of HBCU bands, blah, blah, blah. This is just why I'm saying it. And people didn't care. They took him to the ground. And he basically took all of that down. And then he called, and in my talking to him, he said, no, I don't want to be on the show. He's like, I do not. I don't want this to define me. I still got a job. I got a reputation. I don't want. And y'all can see Christy's voice or see Christy's face, her reaction. He didn't want to proceed forward. So I will let you guys know what we talked about. But Rashad, I'm going to go ahead and give you your time here. And then Christy, I'm going to give you your time. And then I'm going to kind of let you know a little bit of our conversation. So go ahead, Rashad. What do you think?
Actually, Joe, if it's okay, I'm going to deflect to Christy. Number one, she seems ready to go. But number 2, I actually started listening to the video. I think it was on yesterday. And then by the time I got around to getting back to it, because I only listened for just a few minutes. By the time I got around to it again, it was gone. So I really don't know exactly what he said. And so I definitely would deflect that to Christy so I can kind of hear some of the comments that he said so I can give my thoughts on that.
Okay. So, Christy, I'm going to go ahead and give you your 4 minutes, and then I'm sure we'll get back to you because, we have some time. But, Christy, what did you think about the video and just the topic in general?
Well, a couple things. I feel like I have split emotions around the whole thing because I don't want to, miss the forest for the trees or however that phrase goes. Like, some of the things that he said did hold some truth. And when I was listening to him, I was trying to be objective with it and take whatever he said and, try to look at things from all angles. But before I go there, but some of the things that he said were that he, in Louisiana, I think it was something, and let me just say, I did not watch part 2. I didn't even know there was a part 2. And I only watched part 1 time, and then maybe a little bit of a second time, and then I was, doing my business or whatever, and by the time I came back, they had taken the video off. So this person is basically saying that HBCU bands, they're less qualified, less musically inclined. I think he was using this opportunity to go in and bash people who march for HBCU bands, saying that they're kind of lesser than, and they don't learn the proper techniques, and he just kind of went off. I think what frustrated me was the fact that he did this without showing who he was. And that's what frustrates me because, y'all can see us doing the podcast right now. Anything I say on this podcast, you see me saying it. I have nothing to hide. If I'm wrong about something, I'm wrong. If I'm right, I'm right. I have nothing to hide. We all up here have nothing to hide. We back up what we say. And it's like he threw a rock and then hit his hands. And he did that by not showing up on the YouTube clip. And then when Joe tried to call him and talk to him, he didn't want to say who he was because he had a reputation to uphold and all of this. Be a man about it, make your words, stand behind your words, say what you mean and mean what you say. And I don't know, it just reeks of e-thugism. I just can't. I just can't. That really frustrated me. But I did try to take some of the things he said with a grain of salt. He wasn't totally lying about every single thing that he said, but it was just the way that he presented it. It lost me. Like, it didn't get credibility with me because he didn't even want to say his name. He didn't even want to tell Joe, because Joe called me. Joe, you called me and talked about what happened. He didn't even want to tell you what time zone he was in. Like, quarter of a country, and you couldn't even say, like, oh, I'm on the East Coast, I'm in Central. Like, really? Like, you couldn't give your area code? Like, really? I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way.
So, yes, Christy is right. When I talked to him, and when he said, sure, I'll be on the show, he was cool about it. But then he sent me an email later, and he said, can we talk? And so I wanted to make sure that when we talked, and if he's listening, I'm saying, I'm not bashing the dude. I just wanted to make sure that I was not going to give him the questions that I have for him, because I have specific questions.
Oh yeah, he tried to be slick too, and tried to get them questions in advance. Nah, bro, that's not how this works.
I wanted to make sure I did not do that, but I did want to tell him where I was coming from, and I said it last week in the show. You guys can check it out. There was some validity to what him and what Hilliard are saying, and I think all of us as musicians and even the music educators, they will tell you that. But of course, it's the way it happened. And so I talked to him a little bit, and Rashad, I'll let you go. But yeah, I will tell you guys a little bit about the conversation we had. And then after Rashad goes, we got somebody on the phone. I think there are a couple people on the phone, and we'll let them in and say their 2 cents. And before you, real quick, Rashad, the title of the video was "Marching Bands Are Hurting HBCUs." Mm-hmm. So that was the thing. Like, it was about musicality and all that stuff, but when you actually put the marching band in there, he was saying like the actual marching band and what he hears is actually hurting HBCUs. And
can I say something really quick?
Yeah, go ahead, Christy.
I do have to say, because that reminded me of something. I do think at times HBCU bands don't pay attention to their concert bands as much as they should have, their symphonic bands as much as they should have, because it's kind of like, the way I think of it, it's kind of like an athlete, where a football player, where you have your football season, you have your on season, you have your off season. And if you're not training well in your off season, if you don't have a good off season, I don't care what kind of like abilities you have, you're probably not going to have a good on season. So that's the way I kind of think of it, like with symphonic band and concert band. I think a lot of HBCU bands may be, marching band all the year round, which ends up hurting the musicians and hurting the program. But I just didn't like the way that he kind of didn't stand for what he said. But that's all.
And I think there might be a lot of PWIs, predominantly white institutions, that are like that too. You know what I mean? It's definitely across the board. It's a topic that should have been put for musicality versus saying HBCUs. Rashad, go ahead, man.
All right. So, again, I still don't know exactly what the brother did, so I'm not going to really spend a lot of time speaking about him. But my comments were more directed towards Mr. Quincy Hilliard. And I'll start out by saying I was very disappointed. I'm not upset, I'm not angry, but I was very disappointed. So I'm going to start out by not trying to talk about something I don't know about, which was Mr. Hilliard's first mistake. I cannot address the abilities or lack of abilities of those students in the schools, in the black schools in Louisiana. I can't say how good they are or not. So I'm not going to try to say, hey, this is how they are. This is what Mr. Hilliard did. He tried to speak about all of us without really knowing. Okay. So my problem with him is that he spoke in what I call broad strokes, which means that you can tell by what he was saying that he has some limited experience as far as our bands are concerned. And based on that limited experience, he tried to characterize all of us. So real quick, let me tell you about my experience, because one of the things that he said is that the students there can't get into his school, so they go to schools like Southern and Grambling because they can't get into his. And we kind of heard that same type of thing when it dealt with South Carolina State just a few years back, where some of the legislators of South Carolina were saying, well, people go to South Carolina State because they can't get into anywhere else. And that is just not the case. And that is not the case when it comes to our show style bands or our traditional bands. My experience, I was a pretty good trombone player. I mean, I wasn't the best, but when I arrived at Hampton University, I was in for a rude awakening because those are some of the best musicians I have ever seen in my life. Now, upon graduating from Hampton University, I then attended University of North Carolina at Greensboro. University of North Carolina at Greensboro is, at least at the time, the #1 school of music in all of North Carolina, #2 in the Southeast. So they've got some really talented musicians there. But I don't hesitate at all to say that the musicians that I marched with at Hampton in the trombone section are far better musicians than the ones I saw at UNCG. They had the current director. We have a song, Joe. You play this as a part of your intro, "Rolling Thunder," dun, dun, and you go. And the version that you guys play on here is dun, 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 dun. We always played it. This is the trombone part. I love this. Marches. And it only got faster from there. Well, that's a tough song to play. But let me tell you something. When the current band director at Hampton got to Hampton, he not only could play that song in the key of F minor, but then he could modulate it. So he went, and then another guy, his name was Wendell Higgs, also a freshman at the time, could also modulate it. And so while Thomas was going up, Wendell would be going down, playing this very difficult song in multiple different keys. The former band director at Hampton, Rasan Holmes, could play anything that you heard. I mean, he played the waterboard from Super Mario Brothers, which is, and he's triple tonguing all over the place with this. I didn't see it at the UNCG, you know. So to say that these students came to Hampton because they couldn't get into any place else is just ridiculous. And I know that speaks for Florida A&M and Southern University and many bands across the nation. These students go to these HBCU programs, and I'm not speaking about everybody, maybe some of them couldn't, but most of these kids that are really good musicians, they go to these HBCU band programs because they want to be in those band programs. Okay?
15 seconds.
Wow, man, you get yeah, okay.
We'll come back to it. We just give the people on the phone to talk, but we'll come back to it.
Okay, cool. That's it.
Okay, all right. We have a person on the phone. I think it's Kyle. Kyle.
Yeah, it is.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing good. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Christy.
Hey.
I haven't heard that voice in a very long time. I'm also an Aggie, so of course I'm from Christy's neck of the woods. In talking about this topic, so I'm a music educator. I teach in a very small school system in Graham, North Carolina. It's about 30 minutes east of Greensboro. I think about 30 minutes. So originally, when I applied to go to college, my dream place was UNCG. I auditioned for UNCG, and at the time, Court McLaren, who's a pretty famous percussionist, you've probably seen books from him, you've heard work from him, he owns the Allen Publications now. I auditioned for him and did not get into UNCG. That very same day, I applied at A&T and had a good enough audition to get in there. When I got to A&T, obviously I am a white male, and it was a huge culture shock for me because I had marched corps style my entire life, and people had come from my high school, which is a little podunk high school in the middle of nowhere. They had come to A&T, and they had told me all about it. When I got there, I thought I was a pretty good drummer. I was not comparatively. And I learned a lot in those first couple of years about HBCU style and the way it contrasted and compared to other ones. And I saw the video you guys were talking about, and I actually posted on it as well. The thing I don't like, and I get a lot of looks when I tell people where I graduated from and what I studied, because they expect, oh, why didn't you go to UNCG? Why didn't you go to UNC? Well, I got accepted to UNCG, got accepted to Duke, got accepted to Carolina. I'm a Duke fan, but I would have gone if they'd have paid for it. I got accepted to these places, but in the end, I chose A&T because, number one, the school had a very small school of music, so there was maybe one teacher for every 10 students. You're not getting that at UNCG. You're not getting that at UNC, and nothing against those. I have a student at UNCG now, but I chose it because the atmosphere I needed was probably the best one I was going to get. I was taught by Jeff Calisi, who's a world-level percussionist. I was taught by Jonan Keeney, who now teaches at Limestone College, and I was taught by Mike Lasley, who came from UNCG. He's got his doctorate. These guys were not slack on me. They pushed me to be one of the best percussionists I could possibly be. And for someone to say that these people don't apply for their schools because they can only get into HBCUs, well, I can tell you, some of the kids that come from A&T right now would drum circles around me. You know, looking at Cold Steel now and looking at the kids that study music, I mean, these kids are phenomenal. These are the kind of kids that I try to train in my program. So for someone who has no knowledge of the subject, I'd invite somebody like that and say, all right, come sit your kids down at A&T. Come sit your kids down at Central. Come sit your kids down at Fayetteville State. These are 3 HBCUs in North Carolina that have high levels of music performance. And while they're not on the same level as UNCG, because obviously UNCG, like Rashad said, number one in North Carolina, now one of the number ones in the entire Southeast, much like the country, you know, we compare. We compare. There are people that graduated from UNCG the same time I graduated from A&T, and they are not teaching. There are some people that graduated from UNC that are not teaching. Your program doesn't prepare you for anything. I learned more outside of my program than I did in my program, and that's just because that's the way college works. But when someone makes incendiary topics like this, it's like Christy said, you know, you come from a basis of no knowledge. You come from a place where you don't have experience. And I have a lot of people look at me crazy, and they're like, you know, you march there? Yeah. Go march for them. I can tell you there are kids there right now that can play circles around anybody else. And then there are kids that maybe aren't the best. Maybe they're sitting third or fourth clarinet. But I can tell you, marching under Kenneth Ruff, he loved marching band. He liked marching band, but he loved concert band.
Oh, yeah.
He loved concert band. I was pushed harder in concert band than I ever was in marching band. And even being a drummer, I'll say that. So for someone to make these kind of comments like that, it makes me question them as a music educator. Because I've seen concert bands from Jackson State, from FAM, from Southern, and they play just as well as any other concert band I've seen. So I have to wonder, is he a music educator or just someone that teaches music?
Well, that's funny that you say that. When I talked to him last night, I'm not sure if he is an educator, but he marched for a PWI. And what kind of started this, I think, in his soul, if you will, is some people in the band room basically were saying, hey, man, let's play neck. Or they have seen like Southern, or they've seen some other, and I'm assuming it's Louisiana because a lot of this talk is around that area. So what happened was he. Your mic went out, Christy. What'd you say?
I was going to say schools like an Attack, they have these songs.
Okay. And basically, he did not like the mood of the band room when some of his other students or some of his peers were trying to be like, hey, let's try to do something like this. So that kind of is kind of what kind of stirred up things. And I think when he read Hamer's response, he didn't really like it. And then he put out the video. So what he also did, he also said, I don't want to just criticize people. I want to give tips, and I want to, prove my point. He listed 4 schools and their concert bands. One of them was North Carolina Central. I think one of them was Alabama State, and I think one of them was Southern. And he basically said, listen to this concert band. It sounds like the marching band. So then he said that he gave some suggestions to say, okay, maybe you should only be in the marching band for 2 years. And then after your third, like if you're a music major, you should then, in the last 2 years of your degree, you should then focus more on tonality and technique, if you will, concert band. And then he also said you should bring someone in, like a professional musician, to expose the students to what they should be sounding like or what they should be. So I let them know that you didn't say anything about the premier programs. These bands might not be as good, or they may sound like the marching band, but what about Florida A&M? I know because they are hardcore. I went there for band camp in '95, and everybody was playing Fight of the Bumblebee. I was like, hey, well, what? Like, what? Why are y'all doing that? You know what I'm saying? And then for me at Jackson State, I was, I got my clock clean basically, and I was much more into blowing and pop tunes. But then when we got down there, we have the music program had applied. So for all the people, the band has applied is the actual class you take on your horn. Mm-hmm. So you then you have an instructor, and they sit down with you, and you actually have a lesson. I got a D in applied. All right. Now, I thought I was a pretty good trumpet player, but Dr. Ware, that's who was my trumpet instructor for Ware, he kept giving me stuff out of the Arbins book and these etudes and this hard stuff. And I was like, dude, how come you ain't asking me to play you some of the stuff I'm supposed to be memorizing? Do you understand the game is on Saturday? You know what I'm saying? And he's like, dude, you got to learn how to play the horn. So, yeah, I pretty much flunked out of the music program at Jackson State because it was hardcore. And that's something that I don't think that he understood is that, and real quick, what kind of broke what he said down, he kept saying the majority. So majority of high school, black high schools, majority of black colleges are doing this. And I said, dude, that is totally incorrect.
Exactly.
So that kind of wrapped up everything. He said that, maybe a professional musician should come in there and talk. And I said, well, dude, Branford Marsalis is actually on the staff at North Carolina Central. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you guys heard Branford Marsalis, but he ain't no scrub. And he's, you know what I mean? So, yeah, he just had not done his proper research. And I'm glad that you called in, Kyle, to expose that, because that's kind of the rhetoric that's taken on the national stage, Mm-hmm. Rashad, what did you have something else to say, man?
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to try to get into it real fast here. The other thing that Quincy Hilliard said was he called those two bands, Southern and Grambling, dance-style bands. Yeah. That's insulting. That's insulting, and the reason why it's insulting is because once again, you don't know what you're talking about. Now, these two bands couldn't be much more different than each other. Yeah, Grambling dances a whole lot. They probably dance more so than any other band.
Right.
But Southern, by contrast, probably dances a whole lot less than any other band. I mean, so to call Southern a dance band, it shows you just don't know what you're talking about. And it's funny that HBCU band programs are often characterized as being dance bands when they're actually dancing is just a very small portion of what we do. Just looking at Southern University, they make the halftime score. They regularly form corporate logos. They spell messages like "marry me." You know, they create complex kaleidoscopic drills. They play hundreds of songs, all from memory, including difficult marches. And they do a pretty much a 30-second dance routine at the end of their show, maybe sometimes as long as like 45 to a minute, but that's rare. Generally, their dance routine is going to be really short. And you're going to call Southern a dance band? It just shows that you just don't know what you're talking about. And I'm disappointed that he didn't take the time to know what he was talking about before he said it. Also, comparing and contrasting, the show style bands are always getting beat up on as far as we're lacking. Well, I marched in corps style in high school, and I marched drum and bugle corps, senior drum and bugle corps as well. So to say that the show style bands are lacking is not. You have to compare as well. Both bands have pros and negatives, and I'm trying to get through this as well. When it comes to corps style bands, many are unable to adapt to the culture around them by performing stylistically accurate interpretations of popular music. What I mean by that is that when you're in a culture at a football game where everybody's, hey, they're listening to what is playing on the radio, some band programs just don't have it in them to be able to play what's popular on the field. They'll pick up, something from J.W. Pepper, and when they play it, it just doesn't sound right. You know what I mean? Well, that's what I mean. It's not stylistically accurate. Just like if you're playing a Baroque piece, there's a certain way that it should be played. If you're playing a jazz piece, it should be played a certain way. Many find it nearly impossible to achieve the level of perfection that they're striving towards and play more than one show. When I was in high school, we played the same one show all year long. When I was in drum and bugle corps, we played the same one show all year. When I got to FAMU band camp, just like you, Joe, I went from learning one show in a year to learning 20 different songs in a week.
And 3 shows. Yeah. And a parade. Plus, we had concert band as well. So, no, they're not going to be, if you're learning that much music that fast, no, it's not going to be perfect. But who can play that much music perfectly? But can you do more than one show and still have that level of excellence? Many of them can't, no. Many of them are unable to perform their field shows from memory, or much less play dozens of songs from memory. And in actuality, show-style bands to some extent are actually superior in their ability to combine multiple artistic disciplines into a single performance. When you have the fact that you're doing music and making drill, and you can also do dance as well, which is yet another form of artistic expression, that's actually a good thing, not something that's bad. So both bands have pros and cons, and the best type of bands are bands that can draw from both. Outstanding, man. You had 2 seconds left to spare. Outstanding, Rashad. Let's go ahead and take our second break. Kyle, we really appreciate your call. I'm actually really, really glad that you called and said what you said, because that hopefully would shed a light or actually help those folks that feel that certain type of way about these bands. So we appreciate it, man. We're going to go to our break, and then we're going to come right back to finish up the conversation. Listen to the 90 Degree Show, and appreciate you listening.
Your host, Joe Beard, and the 90 Degree Show will return in a moment.
Hello, this is Dr. Kevin Davenport, graduate of Tennessee State University and author of the book, Practical Techniques for Building a High School Marching Band. You are listening to the 90 Degree Show here on the Marching Podcast Network.
Band directors, have you ever found yourselves in this situation? Showtime is quickly approaching. Your budget is quickly disappearing. Your music choices are narrowing. The equipment condition is wearing and your stress level is mounting. Stop what you're doing and contact Block Band Music and find out how we've got you. Check www.blockbandmusic.com, providing music, equipment, gear, and accessories to show style, core style, and traditional bands worldwide.
The source for fair and factual information on your favorite college bands, blockusup.com. Well-written articles, in-depth band performance analysis, helpful resources for band directors, fun band-related topics, and exclusive interviews with some of today's brightest and most talented leaders of college marching bands. Visit us at blockusup.com, the meeting place for band fans and band directors.
And now, more of the 90 Degree Show with your host, Joe Beard.
All right, everyone. Thanks for calling in, and thanks for listening. Kind of just to wrap up what we were saying, basically, essentially, I think that what derailed the point here is when you start to, like Rashad say, paint in broad strokes. It is not the majority of your middle school or black middle school, black high schools, or even the majority of your HBCU programs. That is totally not the case.
Can I say something?
Go ahead, Christy.
Yeah, so when he said something about dance bands, to me, that is code for black. Like it felt very much like that coded language when, you know,
dog whistle.
White folks want to call, you know, oh, that person's a thug, you know,
right.
But really going to say the N word. Like it really felt a lot like that. And dance band, you know, I've been following bands for years, and I've read forums with, you know, people that march in all sorts of bands before, and you know, when they say something like, oh, these dance bands, well, that's pretty much code for black, and that makes me even more heated that this person would not show their face. I lost a ton of respect for this person.
Yeah,
that's all.
What's interesting is that you have a band like Ohio University.
I was just going to say that.
Quite a bit. And in my opinion, they are a show style band as far as how they play, what they play, the amount of dance that they use. But I just wonder if anybody calls them a dance band.
No, you know they don't.
No.
You know they don't. And like Ohio State and Michigan, you know, Ohio State as of recent years, past 5 years or so, been incorporating more, you know, dancing and oh yeah.
And
we're not even gonna go there.
And for other listener too, the actual style is considered or named traditional. So I know, like, we like to say show style, and that's just kind of like the term we throw around. But it's considered to be traditional because it was taken, in a sense, from the Big Ten. And, you know, of course, that's your Northwestern, your Ohio States. Dr. Foster's, the beloved Dr. Foster down there at FAM, actually learned there at Michigan and took his style and made it his style, of course, down at FAM. But, of course, it was rooted in the Big Ten, or what you consider to be traditional. If anyone has actually seen Wisconsin, they like march like on the field like horses, and they bring their legs up. So again, I'm a geography professor on the side. I know, depressor. I know. But I'm an adjunct professor on the side, and one thing I do with geography is teach the scientific method. You definitely have to make sure that when you're gathering your data, you're not talking about a small percentage of things. You have to expand and try to bring in as much as possible before you even make the theory or your thesis. And then, of course, your peers go through and tear it up, which essentially was what happened to this guy. But I think it's really, really important to try to educate yourself on as much as possible. And when I talked to him yesterday, I said, man, I wish you didn't take it down or you could show your face, because I think you could actually learn something. I really wanted him to talk to Rashad, actually, so Rashad could actually break down and give, you know, what he talked about, styles of arranging and things of that nature. But real quick before I forget, and Rashad, I'll let you say something. I got a book here. I just got a text. This is from Dr. Kevin Davenport. Our Director Series podcast that we have here on the network is 2 middle school and high school directors Like you heard on the promo, Dr. Kevin Davenport is from Tennessee State. He's now the director at Simmons College there in Louisville, Kentucky. It's called Practical Techniques for Building the High School Marching Band. Again, and you guys could tweet or Google Direct the Series with the Marching Podcast, and we do the series based on this book that he wrote. And the nuts and bolts of this book essentially is that your marching band is only as good as your concert band. It's all about the concert band. And you definitely have to make sure you're building and growing musicians as opposed to bandsmen. Me coming from St. Louis, band was not like a high thing. And I would show like on BET trying to like pull my horn out and play the songs I heard. And then I think I auditioned for my district honors band, I think my junior year. And it was pretty bad, let me tell you, because I wasn't tripping off like circle of fifths and like scales and stuff like that. And then, of course, I went to Jackson State. I won't talk about Smith because Smith didn't have the music program to actually show me what I was doing wrong. But Jackson State, it was...
You denied that you went to Smith, and I've had to bring you down to your CIAA route.
Well, I went there because, I wanted to be on the East Coast. I wanted to talk like Raekwon and the Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be over there and still be in the band. But that didn't work out. I ended up going to Jackson State. And like I said, it had a huge explosion, if you will, of people of musicality, and I couldn't cut it. But at least I learned the skills then to get better as a musician. And I got pretty good in my heyday. You know what I'm saying? In 99, my last year. I thought I was pretty good after I actually learned the true technique and skill and got exposed to people like Avery McFadden and all those guys who were really, really good on the horn. Avery McFadden came from Wilson High School in Florence, South Carolina. So, Again, it's really trying to expose yourself and gathering as much data as possible. But like Christy said, that dog whistle, if you will, I think, and I hate to say it, I think down in his gut, that's where it kind of rooted. Where he was in the band room and they said, man, let's do something exciting. Let's do something like Southern. And he was like, no, I don't like that. You know what I mean? And that actually then snowballed, if you will, into the YouTube video, which was just misinformation. It was not true. And even Hilliard, too. It is not the majority of the schools that, quote unquote, teach this dance style. It is traditional style, and they're doing it for entertainment. He did say on the second part he loves HBCU bands, and he thinks that they're doing the prime purpose to entertain. But he feels that the actual musicality is actually being lost, which is just untrue. Rashad, I'll give you a couple minutes, man, before we close out because it's already almost 7 o'clock. Anything else that you wanted to say about this?
Yeah. So the whole concept of what we're called traditional versus show style band is a whole other conversation alone right there. I'll just real briefly say that I feel that show style is a type of traditional style band. That we are traditional style bands, but we're not just traditional style bands. That we're show style bands as well. And because there are differences, even though we march the same, there are differences in the things that we do and the way that we play than some of the traditional bands from up north. Now, in order to let me channel my Janelle real quick here, my Bridget real quick here. I'm not trying to say that everything that these guys have said is completely wrong, or perhaps what they really feel as far as there are some programs that are playing with bad technique, and not only are they playing with bad technique, but they are really publicizing it. And yeah, there probably are a lot of high schools, even core style bands that think, oh, when I want to sound like A&T, or I want to sound like Southern, I want to sound like this, and that's how they think to play.
Right.
And that's unfortunate. And so there are some things that need to be fixed there. I'm not saying that whatsoever. However, when you say, oh, these are dance style bands, or these students can't get into my band programs, or this and that and the other, that's where I really take issue. And I really would love to have a great conversation with Dr. Hilliard and just kind of really fill him in on some things. And hopefully we can build a good friendship based on some, respectful learning.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding, Rashad. You hit the nail on the head. And like we all said, there was some validity. And I told him, too, the guy, when I talked to him yesterday, I said, man, Bridget on our show hates the word crank. Crankfest is like crunk, And a lot of people, even I know that I've said at Jackson State, like stand and crank and all that. But then folks in like Bethune-Cookman, they say, oh, well, we don't crank and all that. That's still in the same HBCU community. I like what you said, Rashad, about like is a different tile. Like maybe traditional is like the overhead, but then there's like points of traditional, kind of like how you broke down style of arranging. So again, it's really educating yourself on as much as possible before you come out and be like, oh my God, they're hurting the band because the majority of people, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Christy, anything to close? I think I got the sign for the 2 minutes, like 30 seconds ago. Anything to say before we close out tonight?
No, I think I'm pretty much good to go. I mean, you know, I can't with this person, and until he shows his face, he, you know, it's in one ear, out the other.
He needs to come to the Honda.
Yeah.
Oh, you want somebody else come to Honda on this call? Somebody else.
Joe ain't coming, so that we need to let that dude come in and get Joe's spot.
I'm coming to the Queen City, and I'm going to Honda 2018 or no 2019. I will be.